Namaste, beautiful people. Dr. Shibanii welcoming you all to the DISHAA exclusive Soul to Soul Gupshup with spiritual gurus. I shall be taking you all into this mysterious world of occult where I belong to, along with light workers from all over the planet. Some of them are already my very good friends with whom I've already worked, and others are energetically connected, like you and me. So, welcome to this world of occult, of mystery, where you might just feel, oh, this seems like an episode from Supernaturals and a Dean Winchester or a Sam Winchester story. And that is what it is. So let us welcome a very special being, a very special guest from UK, a very happy being who spreads that energy of love wherever he goes, who's made of magic. Yes, he's made up of star magic. Yes, our very own Jerry Sargent. Welcome, Jerry, to this DISHAA show. Let me tell you a little bit about Jerry. So Jerry is known as the facilitator. He is the founder of Star Magic Healing, a very powerful motivational speaker. He's an international best-selling author, and most of his books are available on Amazon. He's a world-renowned healer, creating rapid shifts within them, within people, and transforming their lives, on different planes, the physical, emotional, spiritual, mental planes. Jerry has the ability to heal, which has been likened by most powerful healers in the history. Facilitated the healing of broken bones, removing tumors, cysts, dissolving fibromyalgias, healing hearts, as well as healing broken relationships, and supercharging businesses to achieve massive success. You name it and you have it. Through all his trials and tribulations, Jerry knows the key to transformation is unconditional love. And this message he delivers in his own unique down-to-earth style that everyone can grasp, internalize, and use it to create a phenomenal transformation in your own lives. I have experienced this entire energy being with this man. Jerry travels the globe speaking, healing, and training through his work with a vision to elevate the global consciousness in a very phenomenal way and create freedom to humankind. So Jerry has a very powerful meditation library. Yeah, that is supposed to be the planet's most powerful meditation library, where the lives of thousands of people has been catapulted to achieve happiness and success in all areas of life. Jerry knows that, and in fact teaches that setting one's self free is the key to success. He has been a drug addict from a very young age and walking a very different path, which led to a life of crime, mixing with some of the most, world's most dangerous criminals. Jerry actually broke free from this life after a number of life-altering events. Yes, it was a near fatal car crash, a trip to Alpha Centauri in a spacecraft, an encounter with an angel, Archangel Gabriel, and time spent in the Egyptian mystery pyramids that led him to insights and precious information, enabling him to access and harness a super transformative light healing technology. And with all this that this man carries, the wisdom that he has, he is such a simple, down to earth person. The best part about Jerry when I connected with him is he is such a soulfully true person. That is what came to me first when I started talking with him. A person who can actually accept, admit, and truthfully share all the negatives that he had once upon a time, and how that entire thing led to his transformation is something everybody cannot do, or rather does not have the guts to do. You really, really, really need to gather that kind of courage to actually face your own selves. And that is exactly what makes Jerry such a very special soul, so connected with the angelic beings. So let us meet this handsome hunk, full of love energy. Every email you will receive from Jerry will make you feel so uplifted and so loved, because it starts with, you are awesome, one love, one heart, one human family, with energy, Jerry Sargent. Now, doesn't that sound uplifting? It was like talk, and that is there. You're already connected with this divine being. So beautiful, people. That is all welcome Jerry Sargent, the facilitator from UK, into the DISHAA exclusive Soul to Soul Gupshup with spiritual gurus. Hey Jerry! Have been astrologers in India practicing the typical Vedic astrology and all that, and probably somewhere in the blood I've genetically got that gift. So my journey started with astrology, but every time the consciousness was there, every time it was like there is a lot beyond the planets. Because now in this COVID situation, there have been so many astrologers who've been predicting stuff like crazy. Right, with the dates and everything, everybody's talking about, yeah, this is going to get over now and this date and all, that's it. But nothing actually happened.
Yeah, I know.
We're still the same. Even the George Floyd thing, I wish somebody could just connect to him and ask him, brother, what happened? Please tell us.
Well, I mean, he's not even dead, so it was just a staged event, That's what I feel anyway. I don't think he's dead. I think it's all just created to cause trouble.
No, one of the energy guys has to really connect, with the dowser or something, and see what the soul is saying.
I mean, I think the soul's just laughing at the whole event. I'm not even sure whether there's a soul in his body.
The soul itself must have gotten so scared after all that has happened.
The soul's like, see you later. I'm out of here.
Let me be at peace. So that's what, So it'll be podcasted on my YouTube channel, and I'm not a very video type of a person. I've recently started doing all my videos. 15 years of my life I've spent in this entire stream, I'm not a medium. I don't call myself a medium, but there's something that I connect with the Trinity, and whatever comes, it comes. Then may it be a soul, may it be the source, may it be a master, whatever. So it's just been like that. So 15 years, and I have not gone public as such. I've been doing work at my level, and I'm very happy in my space. because I don't need to advertise to people to come to me. It's always been like, okay, people are just coming, and it has never stopped. So it's been a beautiful journey. So this will be podcasted in now the YouTube channel that I have, which is called Soul to Soul. The YouTube channel is DISHAA Soul Search. And there is one series going on in that called DISHAA Soul to Soul Gupshup. So soul to
Amazing.
soul, and Gupshup means it's a Hindi word, and Gupshup means a chit chat over coffee.
Okay,
So
cool.
it's as cool and as casual as that. So I've been connecting to a lot of my facilitator friends. When I've been traveling, I've been meeting a lot of people and talking to them. So I have got people who are doing access consciousness on this platform, somebody from Australia. Then I've got somebody who's doing nutrition and nourishing, that is how the energy of the food affects when it goes inside. That's done by somebody from Kenya. Then we have somebody from Singapore who is teaching aqua yoga, and she's so fantastic that she just tells you, you know, that each asana, how she's connecting with the chakra. So I have done it actually practically with her, and the moment she gives you the instruction, you actually start feeling the chakra. It's as beautiful. And then we have a very nice dowser from UK itself, who's into a lot of dowsing. I had been to this conference of your British Society of Dowsers, which happened, I think, 2 years back in Leicester University. I was there, and I connected to a lot of people. But when I traveled in UK and I met dowsers and all, I have seen only the senior citizen kind of a crowd into this. Is there any problem that the youngsters don't want to get into it, or what?
I mean, if I speak for myself, I don't think you need a dowsing rod. And if you look at the youngsters coming in now, especially the real young generation, they have all of this stuff. You don't need a dowsing rod. You don't need crystals. You don't need any kind of archetypal figure. There's no Hindu god, no Christian god, not Jesus, Mary. No one can help you. You know, all of these things are all part of the matrix. You know, and whilst there is intelligence in crystals and different things, because they're beings themselves,
Yeah.
You are a technology. You know, inside your physical body, you've got a soul, you've got a light body, and your soul is more like a storage house of information and knowledge, and your light body has all of the skills and all of the abilities and all of the codes locked inside of it, you know, to help you access all information. So you don't really need a dowsing rod. And I think a lot of these, you know, this younger generation, they're thinking, why do I need to wave a dowsing rod around? I just know it. You know, they just know this stuff. They know what is in the ground. They know what energies are in their space, and they don't need some instrument to tell them. So, you know, for us with Star Magic, we try and, you know, explain to people and share with people and let them know that they have all of this power locked inside of them, and they are the technology, and nothing can break this technology. It's just a technology that grows and expands and gets stronger the more you tap into it. And you only need yourself. You don't actually need anything.
Yes. Actually,
So maybe that's why you see a lot of these older people, because they're stuck in their ways, and they're kind of like they're patterned and conditioned to need these dowsing rods.
yeah, what you're saying is right, actually, because I have been a hardcore dowser a few years back, because my journey started with astrology, and then it always has to start somewhere. But then I started dowsing, a big Pandora opened for me. But then later I realized I don't need a dowser as such, you know. It's always my body itself is a dowser for me.
Absolutely, you are the technology.
Yes, absolutely, no doubt. So what? So I want to know about you. I've been reading, but I want to know from you.
What do you want to know, sister?
Oh, about your journey and how did it happen?
Yeah, it's a good question. I'll give you the shorter version.
No,
Otherwise,
I
it'll
don't
hit.
mind the bigger version also because I'm really, really wanting to know. I've read about it now. I want to know it.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, like where I am now, I'm in a really good place in my life. I'm traveling the world with a team of people, and we're training people to heal with what we call star magic, which is an extraterrestrial light frequency. And the message is freedom, love, sovereignty, helping people step into their power, um, growing confidence and courage, and unleash their magic and their uniqueness into the world so they can shine. So this is what I'm about and our team's about right now. But going back 15, 16 years, my whole life was different. I used to be a criminal, smuggling drugs, involved in a lot of like bank frauds, stealing money from banks in a very kind of like white collar, unique way. Not going into banks with guns and stuff, but doing it all kind of in a clever way. So that was my life for many years, and I really enjoyed it, to be honest with you. Like I was very egotistical at the time. I was money driven. I didn't even like spirituality, God, the universe, anything esoteric was like it was on another planet in another universe, millions of light years away, because it was just not in my kind of sphere of knowing, and I went to church as a kid a couple of times with my mum and dad, and I thought it was rubbish, it was boring. I mean, what am I doing here? I was falling asleep. I just couldn't wait to get out of there. So that was my only kind of introduction to spirituality. And my life, I was earning lots of money, and being a youngster earning loads of money, you're just happy. You just, what else do you want? You can buy the things that you want. You can go where you want to go. You can drive cars. So what else matters? I mean, as a kid, like I was fostered, I was adopted. I was a drug addict and alcoholic at an early age. And that kind of led me into my life of crime. I ended up going to Tenerife and the Canary Islands, worked for a high profile criminal organization, involved in timeshare. I did that for a number of years and then got into the drugs and various other things. And my whole life was just living this lifestyle. I wanted fast cars, gold watches, designer suits, houses, great holiday destinations. And I didn't care about anyone around me and all of the things that I had to do to get what I wanted. I was just very self-centered. So that's worlds apart from where I am now. So how I got there, it was a whole chain of events, really. And I resisted it all the way. Like I was like, nah, I'm not doing this. This is crazy. Like, but what happened is it all started in Romania. My ex-wife is Romanian. And I was with my ex-wife and children. My son Josh, I think he was like 1 or 2 at the time, and his daughter was a couple of years older, like 3 or 4. And I was asleep in the passenger seat of a taxi. They were in the back. And I woke up. There was a loud crash, and there's wind and there's glass, and the taxi's swaying from side to side. And I remember thinking to myself, we're in a bad accident. We're either going to hit the oncoming traffic or the car's going to flip. And then all of a sudden we came to a stop, and it was just getting daylight really early in the morning. I looked around. There was no other cars on the road. I've looked at the taxi driver. He looked scared stiff. I looked in the back, and our daughter, Alea, she was underneath the driver's seat. There was no seatbelts in the taxi. And Laura had our son, Josh, in her arms, and both their mouths are full of glass. So anyway, I looked in front. There was a hole in the windscreen. There's blood dripping down my face, but it wasn't my blood. So I'm like, this is a really weird situation. So I've got out of the taxi. I've looked about 30 meters up the road, and there was 2 ladies. And I looked about another 100, 150 meters up the road, and there was what looked like a dead body. And what happened is 3 ladies were crossing the road in the morning. The first one, she got hit clean on by the taxi. She came through the windscreen, smashed me in the face whilst I was asleep, and then got sucked out of the car, flipped up, landed and died.
Oh.
Second one had her ankles cut off, and the third one was physically okay. And I walked up to the 2 ladies, the one with her ankles cut off and the other one, And there was a man that had come out with it from a nearby factory, and he was on the phone. I thought, well, he must have called the emergency service. I looked, and there was nothing I can do. So I'm focused on what looked like this dead body. And I've walked up the road, and I got within about 10 meters, and I saw this energy just hovering over the body. And I'm looking, and I'm like shaking my head, like, come on, get out of my head, get out of my head. I'm opening my eyes, it's still there, shaking my head. And then this energy's kind of just fizzled into the ether. And like, now I know it was a soul, but at the time I'm like, you know, what is that? I mean, I'd heard of a soul, but you know, you don't think these things are real, you know? So I've looked down at this lady's body, and her legs are wrapped up over her head. She was completely mangled. And I looked up to the heavens, and I remember saying, thank you. I felt really blessed to have this experience. And when I looked down at her body, it was like someone had taken an old car to the scrap heap. Like the soul had gone, the body, this empty vehicle, this vessel was just left there, and it was lifeless. And I saw that what was making it, what was making it move was this energy, this soul that was inside of it. And the soul had no use for the body anymore, so it's gone on its merry way. And I remember thinking, I want a cigarette and a whiskey. I mean, I don't smoke cigarettes and I don't like whiskey, but that's what I felt at the time. It was like a time to celebrate. And it was like the universe smacking me around the head and saying, Jerry, wake up. Come on, man. You know, we're so much more than these physical bodies. We're atoms and molecules and energy, man. We're, you know, like, look what's happening in front of you. And anyway, this happened after the accident. We ended up having to go to the police station. We missed our flights and stuff. And when we were in the police station, we had to give an interview and stuff. And the lady that was there, who was the third lady, she was there, she giving her evidence. And you know, she was just
the one was okay.
Yeah, one that was okay. Obviously mentally she was messed up, so we emptied our pockets out. We gave them all the money that we could, because in Romania, guys, what you do is like tradition to give money for the funeral, for the coffin and stuff. So we gave everything we could, and you know, what else could we do? And then and that was it. They took us back to the airport. We jumped on a flight and came home. And then a few months later, my ex-wife, she had a headache. And I remember thinking to myself, I can take this headache out of your head. I don't know why I thought that, but I did. So I've gone over to her. She's laid on the bed. She's got a nasty migraine. And I looked in her head and I could see this green energy that was the headache. So I reached in and I grabbed it out, pulled it out and just like got rid of it. And she's like, whoa, you know, she just got out of bed like she didn't have a headache. And I was like, whoa, that's a little bit weird, you know? So that happened. Around the same sort of time as this, I met my first spiritual teacher. And what happened, again, like my ex-wife in all of my spiritual awakening was really integral. She came downstairs one night. I was watching TV, and you know, this is how long ago it was, because I haven't watched TV since 2008. But this is going back like 2005, 2006, and
that's what generally happens, you know. And then people are like, "What's wrong with TV?"
I know some people don't understand what to do if they don't watch TV.
Exactly.
Like, how can they fill that gap in their life? Oh my God, you know, the TV's gone. But I mean, throwing the TV away for us was the biggest liberating thing ever. It changed the kids' lives and changed our lives too. But yeah, coming back to this time when I was watching TV, my missus, she came downstairs and she looked at me and she was really scared. And she said, Jerry, every time I close my eyes, I see all these dark images. And she said, when I'm pushing the pushchair down the road in the daytime, she said, I can hear these voices in my head saying, push the pushchair into the road. And it feels like somebody's trying to make her push the pushchair into the road. And I was like, okay, this sounds really weird, but okay, I believe you. You know what I mean? So what are we going to do about this? She said, I want to phone my friend.
Did you believe her that time? Or you
well, I didn't believe. I mean, I just went with it. She was my wife. I love her. So I was like, okay, you know. I mean, what else can I do? I'm not going to turn around and say, you know, yeah, this is a load of bullshit. You know, just leave me alone. I'm watching television. Like I wanted to help her because she's going through some trauma. So I said, you know, what do you want to do about it? And she wanted to call her friend, and her friend was a priest. So this woman who's the priest came around our house, and she's putting crosses on the walls. And she's dousing the house in all this stuff. And I'm sat there like that thinking, what is going on, man? This is like something like a poltergeist or something. So anyway, she's calmed my missus down. Laura's gone to bed. And the next day I went to see my mate and I said, listen, I said, bro, this crazy thing happened in my house last night. I said, I told him the story. I said, what do you make of it? He said, you've got to call this lady. So I said, okay. So he gave me this lady's telephone number. He didn't tell me anything. He said, give her a call, tell her what happened. So anyway, he's given me the name and telephone number of this lady who lives the other side of the country. And she didn't answer, but she called me back a little bit later. And she said, what happened? So I told her what happened. And she said, where do you live? And I said, 316 Richmond Road. And that was all of the address that I gave her. She said, hold on. And like, I'm on the phone and it's gone quiet and I'm waiting. And then she's gone, have you been knocking some walls down in your house? And I said, well, actually, we rent the property. But the previous owner has clearly built an extension.
Oh.
So she said, yeah, you've got an angry old man in your house. I'm like, an angry old man? What do you mean we got an angry old man? She said, yeah, you've got an angry old man. So I'm like, okay, let's pretend there is an angry old man. Like, you know, can you help me get rid of him? So she goes, yeah. She said, of course I can. I said, brilliant. I said, when are you coming down to London? Because she lived like 2-3 hours away. She said, oh, don't worry about that. I can do it from here. I'm like, what? Like, you're thinking, you know, okay, there's an angry old man. You're going to get rid of him from there. What is going on, man? This is crazy. So anyway, I put the phone down from her. I went home and I spoke to Laura and I said, listen, I said, I know I didn't tell you I was going to do this, but I spoke to this lady about what happened last night. And this lady reckons there's an angry old man in the house. And she turns around to me and she said, yeah, I know, Jerry, I've seen him. So I'm like, what? You know, you've seen this angry old man, this lady who you've never spoken to, you've got no common friends, there's no way you could have possibly communicated. She's telling me there's an angry old man. There must be some truth to it. So I phoned her back up and I said, I don't know what you do, but I said, I need to book an appointment. So, because I'm very curious, like if someone proves a little bit of something to me, like I want to know about it and I want to like explore it to the ends of the earth. So I went and had an appointment and she did past life regression. So she took me into a past life and showed me all this stuff. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. So anyway, I went back and saw her like 2-3 times a week, you know, for a few years and went into hundreds of past lives. She taught me how to remote view, how to bring my light out of my body and travel, like loads of cool things. So this happened at the same time, around the same time as the accident and taking the headache out of my ex-wife's head. Now, what happened shortly after this, maybe a year or so, we moved to New Zealand. And a friend of mine had a car accident. And her partner phoned up and said, can you help? And I was like, well, how am I going to help? I'm in New Zealand. You know, she's the other side of the world. And she'd been taken to Frenchay Hospital in Bristol. The doctors had said, you may never walk again. The gear stick had gone through her leg. All her ribs were smashed up. She was properly broken. You know, they said, you might never walk again. You've been in hospital for at least a year. So in my mind, I'm thinking, how am I going to help with this situation? But my intuition kept saying, Jerry, go and get your crystals and lie down on the bed. So I went and got my crystals. I lay on the bed. And then all of a sudden, I was inside a hospital room. And all of this light started pouring out of my hands. And I started putting her body back together. And I did this every day for a couple of weeks. And she walked out of hospital with the use of a Zimmer frame in 12 weeks. And I was thinking, did I do something? Didn't I? Is this just my crazy imagination? But when she came out of hospital, she phoned me up and she said, Jerry, I woke up one day. I looked at the side of my bed and said, what are you doing here? Like she saw me in a hospital room. And I'm thinking, what? You know, so I was like, okay, this imagination stuff, there's more to this. Imagination isn't something you make up. It's actually reality. So this happened. And then at the same time, I met this old guy. His name was Michael. And he taught me how to meditate. And he had a pyramid in his garden. And he used to channel Saint Germain. And he connected me to Saint Germain. And we used to go and channel Saint Germain together. And then I used to go in his pyramid in his garden, this copper pyramid every day to meditate.
So that's in Egypt?
In New Zealand.
In New Zealand, okay.
Yeah, he had a copper pyramid in his garden. You know those small
Okay.
copper pyramids you get?
Okay.
He had a chair in it. I used to go and sit inside it. And he taught me to meditate with my eyes open. So I used to meditate, you know, with my eyes open. And I was sat there one day, and Jesus appeared before me. And he was as clear as day, like looking at you on this screen. And my feet turned to balls of fire. And I looked down at my feet, and there's flames coming off my feet. And it looked like they were going to burn, but they weren't burning, but there was flames. It was weird. So he looked at me and he said, Jerry, you can walk wherever you want to go, and just don't be frightened. I was like, okay, like looking at him. And then he turned and he walked up these stairs that appeared in the garden and through a door. So I followed him up the stairs and through the door, and we were in the Last Supper. And there was all this food and a big table, and Jesus was there giving it like this Last Supper speech or sermon. And I was Matthew, sat around the table. And then I looked out the window, and there was a massive spacecraft. It was huge. It was like a city floating in the sky. And they were kind of just showing me this like parallel life experience, showing me that aliens, extraterrestrials have been around for a long time. So I got up, I walked back down the stairs and back into the garden, back into my meditation. And then 2 weeks later, I'm meditating again, and this little space pod lands in the garden, and it's big enough for like two people or two beings. And I've looked over, and there's a blue being inside of it, like a blue extraterrestrial. And I've brought my light out of my body. I've gone and got in this spacecraft, and we flew through this tunnel of light for like 4 or 5 seconds. We came out the other side, and we're above a beach, and there's water, sand, all this sort of stuff. I've got out of this little craft, walked up the beach, and there's like 200, maybe more of these blue beings. And they're much taller than me, like 6.5, 7 feet tall. They had no clothes on. They had no genitals, like they were androgynous. All of them were very fit and healthy. And I just started to know information. Like I knew that we were on Alpha Centauri. I'd never heard of Alpha Centauri, but I knew that's where we were. And these beings were called Lyrans. And afterwards, I researched it and found out that there are these beings called Lyrans, and they ended up traveling through the galaxy. And they did go, some of them, to Alpha Centauri. And I'm like, this stuff's crazy, man. But when I was there, I found out like what kind of foods they eat, and their like birth cycle and how they give birth, and like all these different things about them. It was like coming into my consciousness. And they gave me a hug. And like when they hugged me, the love that I felt was just, wow, it was unbelievable. I can't even describe it. Like I felt like I was home. It was so beautiful. It was just like the inside of me melted into bliss. And anyway, they hugged me, and then they kind of cleared like a passageway, and I followed one of them up the beach through this like wooded jungle area and into this building that was made of light. And I went into this building, and they introduced me to like an elder or a chief, like an ancient one of these Lyrans. And I knelt down on the floor, and I had this big download of orange light into my head, and it was full of geometrical code. So that happened, and then like it just suddenly stopped. And I don't know how long it lasted for, but two of them picked me up underneath here and frog marched me back to the space pod, put me inside. We flew back through the tunnel, back into the garden, and I went back into my meditation. And then nothing else happened for about 2 years. And we just moved to New Zealand. We set up a health and fitness business, a gym. It was going really well. And I was waiting for things to happen. I was meditating every day. I was having experiences in my meditation, but nothing really profound. And then one day I woke up, and I had this real like deep urge to move back to England. And like my missus and kids are like, what are you talking about? Dad, we've just moved here. Everything's going amazing. Like we had a TV show, and it was really cool. Like doing all sorts of things. And anyway, like after 2 weeks of me, like, in their ear hole, like, come on, we've got to go back to England, like badgering them like crazy. They said, okay, let's go. So we put a manager in charge at the gym, and packed our bags, put everything in storage, and just flew back to England. And then when we got back to England, everything started going into overdrive.
Just a decision so fast, huh?
Yeah, that's what I'm like. If I get like a feeling like I've got to do something, I just do it. Even if it means going all the way around the other side of the world and leaving everything behind, boom, I'm gone. Like if that's the way, if that's the way that it's going to unfold. That's just me, you know. I just do it. I follow my intuition. So when we got back to England, like at first I was like, why have we got here? We went to put the kids into schools, and the schools were like prisons. So we were like, we're not putting our kids into these schools. So anyway, I was out like running one Sunday morning, and I saw some fairies flying around a tree. And I stop and I'm looking, and they're not with my mind's eye. They're like with my eyes. I'm seeing these fairies, and I'm like, what is going on? You know, ETs and now fairies and all this stuff. So anyway, I'm looking at these fairies, and then an angel came down, and he said, my name's Archangel Gabriel. You need to write a book. I'm like, okay, what's the book called? They said it's called Into the Light. It's about your life story.
Oh, so that's how the
So
first book came in.
That's how it came in. So I ran home, opened up my laptop, and just started writing. And well, actually, I did write one book before that called Maximum Wealth, which was about making money like the right way. But anyway, this was kind of the first spiritual book. So I wrote this book, and then it only took me about, I don't know, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, and then I published it. And then once I published it, things started happening. Like I started seeing all of this geometry in the empty space. And it was the same geometry that I got in the orange download of light on the planet. And it's not like your normal geometry that you get like here in the textbooks and stuff. It's like this stuff that weaves and blends and moves and dematerializes and rematerializes. It's very strange, and it's always floating through the empty space. Even now, I look at the screen and I can see it. And since this day, it's never disappeared. So I started asking my guides, like, what am I supposed to do with this stuff? And they just said, you've got to meditate more, Jerry. You're not meditating enough. You're not going into yourself enough. So I was like, okay. So I started getting up every morning with my son, Josh, and we were meditating for 2 hours. And the first day we went down this long corridor in our meditation and through a series of passageways, and we ended up in a classroom. Wow. And there were loads of other men and women, and we were underneath Egypt in this like sort of, like this, it was like a classroom, like a mystery school type classroom, and Thoth was at the front of the classroom.
Oh,
had these scrolls, and he was unraveling the scrolls, and on the scrolls were the same symbols that I was seeing in the empty space, the same symbols that I got in the orange download of light. So we went every day for 2 hours for 9 months. Without fail, we were in those classrooms every morning. And every day they were showing us new symbols and how to work with them. And then people started coming into my life that needed healing. And I thought, let me just see if this stuff works. And I kept trying it, and it kept working. Then I went to like a Mind, Body, Spirit festival, and I made up these little flyers saying energy healing. And I brought my book along, and I was selling that. And I created like a competition, like put your name down, and you know, I'll draw out 3 names, and 3 people can get a healing. And about 70 or 80 people put their names down. And anyway, I phoned every single one of them and said, you've won a free healing, just so I could practice. So I did healings, all these 70, 80 people, and they're all blown away. So I went round to some of them and said, would you mind giving me a testimonial on your experience? And some people had some seriously profound things happen to them. So I used those testimonials and just thought, you know, I'm just going to turn this into a business. And that's when Star Magic was born. And then as soon as I started it, the same blue being came to see me and took me to this hill where I go and meditate near where I live. And I looked out over the town and it disappeared. And then I saw the Christ consciousness grid of the planet, and there were all these little dots. Oh. And I said to this being whose name is Derekwai, I said, what am I supposed to do with this? What is it? He said, and the being said to me, these are healing centers. You've got to build them. And I said, well, if I build them, who is going to run them? And Derekwai said to me, you've got to train people to heal using Star Magic. So I was like, okay. So I ran home again. I opened up my laptop. I designed this training program, put it up online, and people just came. Like in the first training session, we had like, I don't know, 25 people, and they came from all over the world. And I was like, why are these people like coming to see me, man? Like, this is crazy, you know? But they just turned up, and it went really well. We did this 5-day training, and we've trained thousands of people since then. And we've bought our first bit of land in Madeira, 49 acres. And we're just about to buy another 10 acres in Transylvania and Romania to build another healing center. So what these beings have been telling me, it's all starting to happen. So I never planned this stuff. I resisted it like crazy. But now that I've surrendered to it, it's the best thing that ever happened to me, because I wake up every morning now and I have a purpose. I have a mission. I'm actually loving what I'm doing. It's not work. I'm just creating every day. And, you know, I'm free. And I get to change the lives of so many other people. And they take these skills into their healing businesses. They help hundreds, thousands of other people. You know, so it's spreading like wildfire. And it's just getting more, it's getting stronger, more potent. Every training, the frequency amplifies. Every meditation, the frequency amplifies. And more people are healing and transforming. It's just beautiful to witness.
I can
So that's
actually feel that, you know, that thing over your t-shirt, one love, one heart, one human. That energy is, yeah.
Baby, I mean, we are a great big family.
It, you know, this entire time you were narrating it to me, your entire story, how it started, it took me into almost like an episode of Supernaturals.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a really interesting ride. I mean, there's loads of other bits and pieces to the story too, but that's the main sort of like crux of it all. And like what I've realized in my life, like when I was a kid, I was fostered and adopted. And I've always had to deal with rejection issues. And now I'm going out and speaking publicly. And I remember when I was at school once, I had to do this like public thing. I had to get up in front of the whole school and speak about some famous man who was kind of local to where I live. And because I had to practice to go to this church on a Sunday morning and speak, like it was part of our school thing. So anyway, I got up in front of the whole school, and my voice was breaking at the time. I was going through puberty, and I squeaked in front of the whole, like it was an all boys school. So everybody was laughing at me. So that just really knocked my rejection issues even more. You know, I just felt so rejected. And like what I've realized is that for me to come and live my life purpose, I've had to overcome my greatest fear. So, you know, and that's what happens with people, you know, they have traumas and issues that they've got to deal with. And generally, once you overcome it, it will lead you into magic. So, and that's what's happened to me. You know?
Yeah, I also read about one rugby incident in your on your website. The rugby thing that happened. The rugby match in your school.
The what, sorry?
The rugby match in your school?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I wrote about that in, I think, in Into the Light, didn't I?
Yes.
Yeah.
I just read about it. And was that also something that instigated you to go out?
Well, I mean, that particular experience, the reason I kind of like put that into my story is because, like, as a kid, I was really angry. I was always up to mischief, and you know, one thing that like kept me out of trouble was rugby. I played rugby, football, and tennis for the county, like quite at a decent level, and it came to a point where I was like, right, I need to give up two of them and just focus on one of them if I really want to become good at it. And I decided to give up tennis because my mum and dad couldn't really afford the private coaching. It was very expensive, and I preferred rugby over football. So I played rugby, and I was really good at rugby, and it kept me on the straight and narrow to a certain extent. But when I was about 14, 15 years old, I got banned for a year for playing rugby. There was I played scrum half, and if you know anything about rugby, they have what's called a line out. Anyway, the ball got kicked into touch, and I was stood there. And their hooker walked past me, one of their players, to get the ball. And as he walked past me, he laughed. Now, how did it go? Oh, no, okay. No, what he says ages ago. What actually happened is I got sent off the pitch because I was involved in a fight on the pitch, and I was stood on the sideline, and then the ball got kicked out over my head. And their hooker walked past me, and he obviously I'd been sent off, and he said to me, you know, enjoy your suspension. And he was laughing at me. So when he came back round the other side, I waited, and as he walked past me, I just punched him as hard as I could in the nose, and his nose just obliterated. And then all of their players, they ran at me,
Oh,
My mum jumped in, like it was a big fight. It was a crazy fight on the touchline. But I ended up getting banned for a year from playing rugby for it. And that's when I really went into the drink and drugs. I was like, well, I've got nothing else in my life. You know, I'd had quite a lot of trauma, which I didn't know how to handle and deal with. And I wasn't even really aware of the trauma consciously, you know. And so I just smoking weed, taking ecstasy, drinking like crazy, going to raves. Like the rave scene was really rife in England then. So, you know, we used to go out on Friday night, take loads of ecstasy tablets, blow our whistles and horns and dance around with white gloves on, listening to music until 6 a.m. So that was kind of what my life really kind of spiraled then. Yeah.
what a contrast, no? From there to here. It's like two different poles apart.
Worlds apart. Yeah.
And one accident in life and the entire thing topsy-turvy. Entire thing changes, no?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like when I track back through my life, I now see there were other times when the universe tried to get me back on track. But I was so engrossed into my 3D world, or so high on drugs, or, you know, I was so lost that I didn't see these signs. And so they had to shift me with something major. And it took a woman coming through the windscreen to smack me in the face to wake me up.
Yeah.
You know,
Really,
someone had to
obviously, no?
sacrifice their life.
Obviously, with the guy who's going around with a gun and doing all sort of nasty things, something nasty only has to happen to completely, you know, get you over and out of that. But yeah, I guess
Absolutely.
all of us who are working in this light energy world, all of us have had some incidences or the other that has flipped the life completely, you know, everybody.
Yeah.
And then I think it's moreover our family itself have witnessed the changes that have been happening, and most of the times in the earlier stages it's always like, are you going mad? Kind of a reaction from the family. So
Yeah.
but I think slowly and steadily we are destined to do this work, and we somehow, even the families are there along in this journey with us.
Absolutely.
It was lovely listening to this entire thing from you. uh, let's get on to a little bit about star healing. So how does it happen, and what do you teach, and what is this entire modality about?
Yeah, I mean, like, first of all, I don't teach anyone anything.
Oh,
And secondly, it's not a modality. And I want to be really clear on that, because what I've realized is that this stuff that I was shown in these ancient mystery schools, and what the codes that the ETs downloaded into me, it just activated something in me that was already there. You know, no one's actually given me anything. And what I realize is that when I'm going out and training other people,
yeah.
I'm simply helping them to remember too. Like, I'm not a teacher, I'm not a guru. Like, you know, I'm not above or below anyone else. As I see everyone as equal, and anyone that calls themselves a guru or a teacher, I'm just not into that stuff. You know, I'm not into putting anyone on the pedestal. No one. You know, I don't care if someone is an MP or a government official or a policeman, or they work on the cleaning the streets. For me, everyone's the same. So I try and instill this through everything that I share with people. And star magic itself, like, it's not a modality and it's not a system. What we teach people to do, well, not teach, but help them to remember, is that everything is energy, everything is light, everything is code, everything is information. Okay. And we show people how to change the information streams that are traveling through the empty space to create healing in someone's physical reality. So if you look at someone that has, I don't know, a particular disease, or it could be an abundance issue or something, whatever it is. Let's say, for example, they've got trigeminal neuralgia, okay? They've got the pains in their face, their arms, their hands. If I want to heal that, what I've got to do is find out what caused it. Because the body is just a communication device, and all it does is it asks the person to look at these symptoms and then to go in and heal it. But we don't know how to read the body. And we've always been taught that we need to go to the doctors, we need an injection or some pills, we need to hand our power over to someone else to help fix us. But we're never actually broken. We've just got, you know, data issues. And I say data issues because because light is information and information is data. If someone has trigeminal neuralgia, there'll be you know, an experience from their childhood or their teenage years, or maybe a past life or a parallel reality somewhere in the quantum field that is creating chaos and a disturbance in the field, which is sending an information stream into their biological computer, their brain, into themselves on a subatomic level into their cells, which is creating these symptoms. So what we do is we find out where this trauma came from, and we change the reality in the quantum field. So we change the information, the data stream, the light stream that flows into the human being's cells, into their biological computer. Once that shifts and changes, the physical symptoms disappear wherever they are in the body. If you look at a laptop, yeah, and you go to the laptop and you open up a website and the website is yellow and you want to change that website to green, you've got to go into the back end of the system and change the code. And then it changes the color in the front end. What we do is no different. We change the code and it manifests physically. We're just an operating system. But people think healing is this and that, and it's complicated, and you know, it's not. Like we share it in such a down-to-earth, practical way that anyone on the planet can remember how to use star magic. You know, we've trained people from all walks of life, all ethnicities, rich people, poor people, old people, young people, black people, white people, Indian, Australian, French, you name it. We've trained them, and everyone can do it. You know, it's just about showing them how to apply it in the right way. I mean, I remember when we were in India last time. We've been a few times to train people in India, but the last time we were there, this lady came up to me and she said, "Jerry, I just can't do this." She said, I just can't do it. And she was working with another lady that had a problem in her spine and her back for many years, and a problem in her knee, and it was painful. And she'd been to like specialists in Harley Street in London. She'd been to LA. She'd been to New York. She'd seeked out the best of the best, like in the kind of mainstream medicine, and no one could help her. She'd also been to chiropractors and, you know, all these kind of like other kind of modalities of healing. Nothing worked. So anyway, I walked over to this lady that had the bad back, and I was guiding the other lady that was saying, "I can't do this. I'm so frustrated." So what I did is I and this is how simple it is to play with energy. I asked the lady, I said, "What is your favorite drink?" She said, "Well, actually, Jerry, I don't drink alcohol, but I do love this particular mocktail." So I said, "Okay, what I want you to do is I want you to see this lady's spinal column as a load of mocktails, okay? And I want you to see her knees as mocktails. I want you to see her hips as mocktails, her shin bones as mocktails, her shoulder blades as mocktails, and we're gonna entangle every single one of her bones with your favorite drink." So she did that, and I said, "Tell me what you see." She said, "Well, all of the mocktails look great." She said, "But this one, the glass is half empty." I said, "Fill it up." So she filled it up.
Wow.
And then I said, "What about the knee?" She said, "Well, the glass is tipped to the side a little bit." I said, "Straighten it." So she straightened it, and the woman's body just went click, click, click. And the years and years of pain just transformed in a heartbeat. So, you know, you can play with this stuff in any which way. There's different ways of helping different people play with the code in the back end.
Yes,
you know, it's just about finding the way for that person. And it's about playing. You've got to be like a little kid to work with star magic.
True. It's very true. It's very true, actually. When you're healing somebody, you can't just be, you know, it's a standard formula that you do this plus this, and that's it. Your healing is done. No. Every person who comes to you is always a different case altogether. And the healing that comes out for that person is entirely different, you know. You can't say, because I have had recently a few patients that I've been healing, And the relatives have been telling me the doctor is wanting you to concentrate on the heart rate. But when I'm sitting for healing, I'm not seeing the heart at all. I'm seeing the kidneys.
Yeah.
That is what it is. That is what entire healing is about. So it can't be directed or prescribed or, have a formula. It just comes.
Like anyone that follows a formula in healing is just limiting themselves to the formula and to the method. Like we get Reiki healers, Reiki masters. They've been doing Reiki for 50, 60 years. They've been, healing day in, day out. And they come to our training and they're like, wow, this is just blown Reiki out of the water. We get quantum healers, bioenergy healers. We get people from Access Consciousness that you mentioned, people from all different modalities. And they're like, wow, you've just completely blown apart everything that I ever knew. You've simplified it and made what I knew before obsolete.
Yes.
And that's what we do. Star magic is so easy, so simple and so powerful.
Yes. But I think getting connected to people while you're training them gets you onto increasing your vibrations by meeting these people.
What do you mean?
I mean, when you're training, when you're passing on to that legacy, when you're helping people actually decode that data that is already there, of their past lives, that wisdom, how does it feel? It feels more enlightened.
How does it affect me, you mean?
Yeah.
I mean, like every time I go to a training, I remember something else. Every time I do a meditation, every time I'm always remembering more information. And like every time we go to a training, the frequency is getting more and more powerful. I see more and more magic unfolding. In meditations, people are getting their eyesight come back in meditations. People are getting years and years of pain. I mean, literally last week on a global meditation, someone had I think it was a hernia. They've had it for many years. The hernia just went crack and boom, it had gone. I mean, these things are just happening more and more and more. And, and every single time I'm like, wow, or like I'm excited like a little kid. Like, I don't think, oh yeah, just another one. Like every time I'm blown away because it's magic, man. And I'm so like, I'm like a little kid in a sweet shop or a toy shop, just running around, just like wanting to play with everything, and I find it fascinating. And I think if you can maintain that kind of level of joy and passion and childlikeness, everything becomes just a wonder. And you're excited every single time you go into the healing session. And what we always say, this is what we say we get everyone to do this at the start of a healing session. You drop into your heart, you slow your brain waves down, and you connect, and you say, please show me something I don't know to help me heal this incredible human being. Like, we're not interested in what we know. I don't care if this person's got the same disease as the person I healed an hour ago or the day before. I still want to know what I don't know, because this person has a whole different system, a whole different set of soul experiences. So I need to know what I don't know. And I always think about bumblebees when I think about not knowing, because bumblebees have big fat bodies and tiny little wings, and according to the law of aerodynamics, it's impossible for them to fly, but they don't know this. So they wake up every morning and they perform a miracle.
I love it.
It's like, wow. And I always think, imagine bumblebees, right? They had like brains like humans. They'd wake up every morning, they'd look in the mirror and they'd go, oh shit, I'm never going to be able to fly today. And they'd talk themselves out of it. I have these visions of like big queues of bumblebees, like outside the doctor's surgery, or queuing up for Prozac because they're depressed because they can't fly anymore. But if humans could adopt that kind of free spirit mentality, where we're in our hearts and we just do things without thinking about it, we would be able to create these miracles all the time, and they'd stop becoming miracles. They'd be everyday experiences or occurrences.
Yeah, because there is no unlearning, with us. There's no unlearning at all. It's always learning, and just stacking ourselves with so much information that there's no space then, for something new to go in.
100%.
And a little more about Egypt.
Egypt.
Yeah.
What do you want to know about Egypt? I mean, yeah, I
What
mean,
was
we
your
go to Egypt.
what was your first experience inside the pyramid? Did you meditate inside, or what was it?
What when we went to Egypt?
You have had a lot of your school. You said, where you used to, when your meditations and all.
Yeah, okay,
Taught,
so yeah,
taught.
like we went in the midst. So we used to go into these meditations and we go down these passageways, and we go underneath the pyramids. And what I've realized is that underneath the
Underneath,
pyramid, I mean,
money below the pyramids.
yeah, below the ground, yeah,
Oh,
like like I don't believe that they're even pyramids. Like, they're octahedrons, and I feel that the male part is above the surface, and the female part, the bottom half of the octahedron, is down in the soil. But when we went down into the earth, me and my son, we went into these classrooms, and when we were in the classrooms, they just showed us how to heal. But when we came out of the classrooms, we went and explored, and we found these healing pools, like many different chambers, and these different chambers have different liquid light frequencies in them.
oh,
There was gold ones, violet ones, crystal white ones, different colors for different things. And they showed us, you can just put people down in here and they will heal. And they showed us this kind of this table for psychic surgery. And I'll tell you a little story. Like, this was when I very first started Star Magic and I first put my website up. I got contacted by a guy, and his testimonials on our website, so people can go and read it and watch it if they want to. But he was in hospital, and he had like 3 cysts and a couple of lumps, like tumors in his intestines, and the doctors had said to him, you might not even make it through the next sort of 24, 48 hours. You'll be lucky, Anyway, they pumped him full of drugs, and he made it through the next couple of days.
mm-hmm.
And they said to him, you're going to have to come back in February and have like 10 feet of your intestines cut out. We need to remove it, and you're going to have a colostomy bag fitted, and you're going to have to go to the toilet in it for the rest of your life. So anyway, I mean, that's not very nice for anyone to hear. So he was on YouTube, and he found one of my videos,
Mm-hmm.
and he got in contact. And when he got in contact with me, it was like Boxing Day.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, like I got in contact with him straight away on Boxing Day, and we did a healing. And like, his story is this. He said he started the healing, and 2 big shafts of light came down by the side of his bed, and he went ice cold. And he said a unicorn came and kissed him on his nose. And then he said that he felt like he was underneath Egypt. He could see these beings working on him. What actually happened is I went and got his light body, and I took it to Egypt, to these healing pools, and I laid them down on this psychic surgery like stone table. And when I did that, these Egyptian light workers came out, and they all had like these crystal light rods in their hands, and they were sticking them into his stomach, and they were cutting him open. And like, his story says that he felt my hands go into his stomach. But I was actually watching what was happening, and all these beings were doing the work. And anyway, after the healing, I picked up his light body, took it back to his physical body, and laid it down inside. Now, when he woke up, remember, he's in a different place in the country than me. We never met each other. When he woke up, he had a scar across his stomach, like a physical scar. And he went to the toilet, and he's looking at it, and it's on the video as well because he was so fascinated. And then anyway, he went back to the doctors, and he had scans. There was no cysts, there was no tumors. He also had E. coli as well, and something else too. I can't remember what it was, but all the bloods came back okay. He was perfectly healthy. And the doctor said, I don't know what you're going to tell the hospital, but you don't need surgery anymore. Mm-hmm. And all this stuff had just vanished. And this is the power that resides in certain quantum spaces when you tap into it. And even in our training, we show people how to take people into these healing chambers underneath the pyramids, so they can have psychic surgery done on their clients. But yeah, we found these healing pools there. We were shown a spaceship as well. We found a crystal spacecraft underneath the pyramids, and me and my son flew it through a portal, and we landed on Mars. And when we were on Mars, we met this little orange being that was collecting crystals. So we had some amazing experiences underneath the pyramids. Like there's so many mysteries under there, and I'm sure there's many more mysteries that we're unaware of. But yeah, I mean, there's cities under there, you know, like colossal cities.
Yes, absolutely. Because when I was in Egypt and we meditated into the king's chamber, we all were there, you know, and it was a completely different experience. Because when you go there for the first time, you always have a sort of a fear inside, you know, like whether you're walking inside a tomb or what. But when you actually get in, the people who feel it, they feel it. And we were sitting there, and it was a very different time. It was almost like I was sitting and calculating, you know, sitting against a wall right in front of the Socrates. And it was almost like 132% positive showers falling onto me. And then I was told, why are you sitting here? Are you here for sitting and meditating? Just get up and start walking. And I get up and I start walking, and then I was guided, sit here. Then I sat down, and there it was almost 486% positive light falling onto me. And I was told, just absorb this. And that was right at the, you know, the point of the pyramid. I was sitting right under that. It was such an experience. Such an experience.
The pyramids fascinate me. I've been into like Giza 3 times now, into the king's, the queen's chamber, the well. The first time I went with a German group, which was cool. Second time we took our own group of 100 people. And this year we went with about 50 people. We had amazing experiences in there, you know, amazing, breathtaking. Like, you just can't describe them, the energies, all this sort of stuff. They're wild, beautiful.
Actually, I think 2-3 years back we had gone, and this was the first group I had taken from India, where we went and we got the permission from the Egyptian government to meditate inside the pyramid of Giza, the king's chamber, before tourist time. So that was an amazing experience. Beautiful. And some more about your books, Jerry. About maximum wealth actually now, because that is what people need now.
I mean, maximum wealth is just some basic principles of how to make money the right way. I made money for so many years the wrong way. I mean, I made a lot of money when I was a kid, you know. There was a time when I'd saved about £500,000. I lost it all. And then I made money. I made millions the second time around. I lost it all again. And then back in like 2007, maybe a little bit before that, I lost everything again. You know, I lost, and it was a lot more that time. Each time the amount's gone up and I've lost it all. But it was just the universe taking it away from me. I was making it in a way that was not conducive to, you know, the growth of humanity. I was taking and robbing and stealing and all this sort of stuff. So and to be honest with you, if I hadn't have lost it all, I probably would have struggled to go on a spiritual journey. Because when I told you the story earlier about going in the house when my ex-missus came downstairs and I was watching TV, the reason we moved into that house is because the property before we got kicked out of, like, we had a lot of money, a lot of houses, we were doing really well, and we lost everything, got kicked out of our home. I was on the street with my missus and 2 kids, which is a shitty place to be. But it was probably a big blessing in disguise for me, because it stripped me back to zero. We moved into that house, had the car accident experience, met my first spiritual teacher. All these things started unfolding at a time when I'd been stripped back to nothing. So it was all orchestrated perfectly behind the scenes, you know. And yeah, I mean, it was a beautiful experience. So maximum wealth is about making money the right way, you know. So it's is conducive and constructive to helping humanity as a whole, you know, by using your vibration, your frequency to create whatever it is that you want to create, and using the right protocols to take the necessary action. So that's what that book's about. The second book, Into the Light, is all about my life from when I was born up until about 2013, and everything that had happened in between. It was just up before I started Star Magic. Everything that happened, you know, up until about 2-3 years before Star Magic started. So all of my main life lessons, really, and like
everything that needed to happen for Star Magic to happen.
Yeah, like every chapter has, you know, 1 or 2 of my life experiences in which tell the story. I've used my life experiences to share the lessons inside of it. And then the next book, it was called Star Magic Heal the Universe, but we actually just republished it a few months back, and it's called Healing with Light Codes and Light Frequencies. But it's the same book. And that is all about Star Magic and how you can heal people with Star Magic, and all of the different kind of ways. I don't call them techniques, I call them ways. The ways that you can heal with Star Magic to heal yourself, other people, groups of people, you know, just an A to Z, all the basics, you know, and anyone can use it. It's so simple, you know, and that's all you need. Everything in that book, if you wanted to be a healer, is in there. There's nothing you need over and above that. It's got everything. So, you know, and people that haven't been to our training have read that book, and they've gone out and created healing businesses from it. People that come to our training that read that book first do so much better in the training, because they get a real good basic knowledge, and then come to the training, and as we share the information, it all really hits home a lot more powerfully. So if you are going to come to the training, read the book first.
Yeah, so all these are available on Amazon, right? All the books.
Yeah, I've got a new one that I'm writing at the moment called How to Be Superhuman, and that'll be ready this year too.
Okay, so has this already come up, or you're still in the release procedure?
I'm just finishing writing the last 2 chapters at the moment.
Okay, so you're completing the book yet?
Yeah, and Superhuman is going to be a new course that we release. We've started releasing 2-day workshops to introduce it, but next year we're going to start releasing a 10-day training, which is going to be a super powerful, super immersive 10-day experience.
So it's intensive.
Very intense, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And about your the meditation library on YouTube.
Yeah, so on our website, we've got something that we call Infinity. And Infinity, it contains a meditation library. There's hundreds of guided meditations for all different things. There's cosmic journeys. There's journeys for releasing negativity. There's journeys for self-healing, journeys for relationships, all different things. We have light language transmissions and light codes. So you stare at the light code, and then you listen to the audio transmission, and that communicates with your soul and changes your DNA. We have yoga videos in there, and they're short 15-minute yoga routines that, again, expand your consciousness, open your third eye. They're all geared towards the work that we do. We have a nutrition section in there, loads of recipes, breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, shakes, all sorts, puddings. They're all healthy, you know, high frequency meals. We have healing videos in there. We have something in there that we call interactive. So every month we have a 2-hour interactive where I get online and share really important information. We've actually got one tomorrow. Tomorrow's a 12-hour one. We're doing a 12-hour meditation marathon from 3 in the afternoon to 3 in the morning. So like all of this stuff is inside Infinity. So people can join Infinity. It's free for a week. You can check it all out, and if you like it, you can continue. We've got a lot of clients in India that use it. And it's a 24/7 healing tool, a 24/7 transformational tool. It covers all of your ascension needs and requirements.
Since you're also into this health field, health business, how do you connect being vegan with spirituality?
What was the question? How do I something with vegan and spirituality? What was the question?
Yeah, how do you connect spirituality and being vegan?
Well,
being vegan is the fad now. No, everybody, every second person is going vegan now.
Yeah, I used to be a huge meat eater.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2013, I went vegan.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, I stopped being vegan.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, this is what I feel from my own person. I can only speak from my own personal experiences and other people that I've met on my journey. Being vegan requires you to really get it right. And you know, just in plants and vegetables, there are certain things that we do miss from the food. Now, I go to the gym every day. I run every day. I box every day. I'm very into my fitness. And when I first went vegan, my energy levels were amazing. Like my frequency was high. But over the course of a few years, I slowly started to deteriorate, and I realized I was losing muscle mass and all of this sort of stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
I started. I changed my vegan protein. I was taking more supplements, and things changed a little bit. But I just wasn't functioning 100%. I was so fit at one point in my life, so strong, and I slowly deteriorated on a vegan kind of nutritional program. So a year ago, I started listening to my body, and if my body felt like some eggs, I'll go and eat some eggs. If it feels like some fish, I'll give it some fish. If it feels like a bit of chicken, I'll give it a bit of chicken. Okay. It doesn't feel like chicken that often. It doesn't feel like beef that often. But if it does feel like it and I'm craving something in it, I go and eat it. I don't eat bread. I don't eat white rice, pasta, milk, dairy, cheese, none of that stuff. It's all a no-no for me. And my body, funny enough, never craves any of that stuff. Don't eat sugar. So I'm sort of like a 90% plant-based diet. But if I feel like eggs, I'm going to eat them. And if I feel like meat, I'm going to eat it, you know. And if I do eat it, it's going to be organic, grass-fed. It's going to be, make sure it's not going to be full of testosterone and chemicals to pump the animal's growth, make it faster. You know, I'm going to eat as clean as I possibly can. So that's how I kind of run the way that I kind of, you know, put nutrition into my body. I fast every day for 16 hours. I don't eat from 8 in the evening until 12 the next day. Every day.
But you don't feel that at anywhere interrupts into your meditative pattern or anything as such, right?
Fasting is just, everyone should be doing it. We eat far too much food. You know, if for my breakfast, my breakfast consists of a run. It consists of some bag work and some circuit training and breath work, deep oxygen intake. You know, that fills me up. I don't need food. You know, when I get to 12 o'clock, well, between 12 and 8, I'm still going to eat what I generally eat in a day, but I'm restricting the time. Like what happens is when you eat, there's an enzyme that's released in your liver, and that enzyme has a shelf life of 12 hours. So everything you eat over 12 hours turns to, it's no good because it can't be broken down efficiently. So everyone should be eating in a maximum of a 12-hour timeline, but the time frame. But the more you can restrict that time frame, it's like it compresses the enzymes, and the food that you eat is used up much more efficiently. You know, so some of the
that's something that we talk about our physical body. But when you sit for your meditation, do you feel that the food that you intake somewhere affects your
meditation? Not in the slightest. I mean, if I meditate when my stomach's really full and if I've eaten too much, then yeah, I'm going to feel a bit heavy. Meditating on an empty stomach can be good because your whole energy is just focused.
What I want to say is, like, if you're eating non-vegetarian food, or if you're eating, you know, say a chicken or a fish or a beef or something like that, then do you feel the energy of the non-vegetarian food affects? What do you feel? Affects your meditation or connection with the light beings or something like that?
Not at all. I mean, I know some mediums that eat chocolate from morning to night, pizzas, fish and chips. They drink wine, beer, and they've got an amazing connection to source. So it doesn't affect it in that way. But that isn't the same for everybody. You got to understand, every single one of us are different, unique beings. You know, there are some people that have got a really calcified pineal gland, and they really need to work on opening that pineal gland and decalcifying that pineal gland, and nutrition will be a part of that. So it's different for different people. And what I would say is, someone that eats shit all day, they might have a great connection to spirit, but they're not going to be healthy. You know, you don't see many, like I see so many people on my travels at these spiritual exhibitions that eat shit foods, that have a great connection to source, but they are unhealthy. They're carrying loads of stuck emotion from their clients, and they're just not in a good place. So for me personally, I like to adopt a lifestyle. So I run, I meditate, I go to the gym, I box, I do my breath work. I do my meditation, light language. I do everything. You know, I see it as a whole package: food, nutrition, everything, all rolled into one. And I make sure that all of these elements are part of my life. You know, and it really depends on who you are and how far you want to go with this stuff. And like what I say to a lot of people is, if you've never actually been clean from alcohol and good food and shitty foods and all of this stuff for a period of time, you don't actually know how high your vibration can be. So if you look at someone that's drinking all the time, if they stop drinking for a week, they feel really good. If they stop drinking for 2 weeks, they feel a bit better, and they think, oh my God, I feel so good. But they're still in a shit vibration compared to me. They just don't, they've never experienced that really high vibration. But if they stop drinking for 6 months, they're like, wow, I'm a brand new person. And then they think they can't get any higher. But a year later, after doing all this work and still not drinking and eating clean foods, boom, they're even higher. You can keep raising the bar. But every time you put crappy foods into your body, and every time you drink alcohol, or you smoke weed, or you snort cocaine, or whatever it is, you're bringing your vibration back down. Every time you watch pornography,
because
you know,
every time, you know, that experience of what vibration is not there at all. You know, that experience of, okay, this is what vibration is. This is what vibrating at a certain frequency is not there at all. And that is what has to be more now. If we have to face this kind of a pandemic situation again, then I think half of our lives is already over. But now our kids are growing up, and the younger generation, the generation next, has to actually, you know, have that kind of a, because these kids are born to be the rainbow kids and the indigo kids. As you said earlier, you know, they already know it. They don't need anything to know. They know it. It's already there inside, you know. They're different beings altogether. They're not like us. They're different. So what do you think you need to tell the younger generation about spirituality, about getting into meditation, about actually adopting the original life they've come for?
I mean, it really depends on the generation. But like, I mean, one thing I would say is, don't listen to your to the generation above you. Like if you've got kids that are 20 years old at the moment, you know, it's their parents really that are kind of starting to make the waves and the changes. But even still, there's many parents of that kind of era where they're still mixed up and lost and locked into this matrix. You know, these kids, it's really interesting at the moment, yeah, because like these kids that are coming onto the planet, like you say, they're different. They got a big heart chakra. They don't have all these other energy centers that are tripping them up. They just know love. Their auras are on the inside of their body, not on the outside. Completely different makeup of energy, completely different structure, and you can't manipulate these kids. But what is happening at the moment is life is changing. Life is becoming much more online, and there's all these gadgets, and you know, they're trying to bring through this pandemic, they're trying to bring through, you know, vaccinations, which are a lead on to 5G, artificial intelligence, and us becoming cyber humans. So you know, you've got these kids on this planet right now with all of these amazing abilities, but they're plugged in to electronics from
Yes.
the start, and they're being encouraged to have chips in their hands and all this sort of stuff. So it's interesting. I don't really know where it's going to go. I mean, I would say to the kids, don't believe anything in your external reality. Question everything. Don't believe anything your parents tell you. Question that too. Question the thoughts inside of your own head. Go into your heart and ask yourself the questions, because you have the answers. You know, go into your heart. It's full of wisdom. It's full of knowledge. And if you can go in here and start to cultivate that inner relationship, it's like an infinite encyclopedia of cosmic information that will help you during throughout the cosmos and here on Earth. So go in and start to communicate and open up this element of you, and stay away from phones, stay away from laptops. You know, use them for things that are necessary, but develop your communication with people. A lot of the kids now, they don't know how to go and give someone a hug and say, hey, how you doing, brother? I love you, man. They're like that, you know? And you put them into a situation where they've got to communicate with someone else, and they're like, let me ask you a quick, even if it, you know, I went into Starbucks, right? And a little while back on a Saturday, and I kid you not, I couldn't find one person off their phone. Yeah, there was loads of tables, families sat around, couples, single people. Everyone's like this. No one's speaking. There must have been 50 or 60 people in there. You know, 4 people in a family, all on their phones. No one communicates, you know. And even in our house, like, you know, my daughter might send me a text message. I'm only downstairs. Get off your ass and come down. And I find myself doing it sometimes. We're becoming lazy humans and dependent on these phones and stuff. It's dangerous. We got to start stepping away from it, you know, and reconnecting on a human level, not on a robotic level.
True.
Yeah.
But I think we need these trainings more for our kids now, because for them to get off the electronic and the virtual world and actually go inside of them, there has to be something really kicking them, you know, to do that.
Well, the main reason, sorry to interrupt you, but I just want to just touch upon this point because it's important. Like the real main reason that we're doing what we're doing with Star Magic to build these healing facilities is to give the kids the platform. So we can give a platform to the children that have amazing abilities, so we can bring the creativity out of them and give them a free space to express themselves. I work with kids that have been taken from their parents because they are showing really high esoteric abilities. They're taken out of school, they're put into homes, into facilities, pumped full of drugs. They have demons that are brought into their spaces. They're raping them, they're infiltrating them, they're getting them addicted to pornography, then they're sending them back to their parents, all fucked up. So there's a lot of this stuff happening on the planet. It's been happening for a long time, and it's happening more and more. And what we want to do with Star Magic is create these healing centers around the planet, so these kids can come there, stay there, create there, find themselves there, go within there and express all of these divine cosmic abilities in the most magical way, and actually share them with the adults. And they can be at the front of the classroom, you know, and the adults can be sat in the chairs, and the adults can be remembering, oh yeah, listening to the 2-year-olds and the 3-year-olds and the 4-year-olds, you know, because they have the magic, you know, much more than we do.
Actually, because I have 2 kids, and my elder one is a teenager. Elder one just finished his 10th class, and he is very shamanic in nature. He suddenly started painting, you know, actually started painting with the watercolors one fine day, and he made a beautiful shamanic painting, and I was amazed to see. And he's the kind of, you know, just sitting with me, he's just down into his trance.
Amazing.
Yeah. And I think I would be the first one to get my kid going onto your workshop as soon as you land up here in India.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I envisage like Harry Potter schools, you know, kids playing with dragons and stuff and riding on broomsticks, man. Yeah, you know, it's going to happen at some point.
Yes, yes. Actually, very soon I see. It was amazing. What a lovely talk, you know. And
Amazing stuff.
yeah, actually, it's very important. Actually, they should be introducing this in schools and colleges. Like they have maths and science and languages and social studies, which are the compulsory subjects. No, they should be having meditation as a compulsory subject for schools and colleges. No? It's high time, you know.
Meditation, breath work, you know, all of these kind of esoteric, like activating the pineal gland. I mean, there's you know, actually training people to use their third eye, blindfolding them, getting them to sit in a classroom and start to navigate and work. And they have to use the third eye. If you started doing that to kids at 4 or 5 years old, man, their third eyes would be just activated, pumping, you know?
That's what, you know, kids, because there's no social conditioning. It's a clean slate. It's very easy to write on them. Rather than people like us, it's very easy to write on them.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, they're like clay doh. Mold them and shape them, and or you know, or give them the space to mold and shape themselves, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've actually seen my daughter. She's just 7 years old, coming and sitting in my chair in my consulting, making the granny sit in front of her, making my helper sit in front of her, and, you know, taking the hand and, oh, what is the problem with you? Oh, I see. But I think your stomach ache is going to be fine. I don't see another 2 days and you'll be absolutely okay.
Yeah.
So that is what, you know. In India, actually, if you see, you know, we have a lot of schools who already have yoga as a one-day activity or something in schools already. But I have been hearing from the mothers and a lot of friends and relatives that the yoga class is as good as a class for fun. It's not very seriously taken up. But now I think the governments all over the world should wake up and actually start getting our kids to meditate from school, because school is the only place you can make things compulsory.
Yeah, yeah.
And the teachers should be trained, actually, you know, to teach the kids or take them into that space of meditation. The teachers should be trained. What do you feel?
Definitely. I mean, without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, if I had a school, the kids in the school would be drinking ayahuasca at 5 years old. You know, they'd be meditating, they'd be doing light language, they'd be drawing, they'd be painting, they'd be outside in nature. They would be free spirits, and I guarantee you they would be much more well equipped to go into the world than going through this crazy school system that we've got at the moment.
Yes, absolutely. It's very, very important. So, anything else you want to share with people? You want to give as a message to everybody?
I mean, I would just say to anyone listening, I love you. You're amazing. You're extraordinary. And in here, you got all the answers. So don't be engrossed in your external reality. Go within. You know, you're gonna discover so much about yourself, and you're going to unleash your inner magic. And what is important once you do that is to take action in the physical world. A lot of people thinking that sitting and meditating and praying is going to get you what you want, but it's not. It's going to start to create. It's going to get the creative juices flowing through the cosmic fabric. But you then have to take divine action, and you've got to back up what it is that you want to create, you know, in the physical world. Like right now on planet Earth, you've got all of this chaos with coronavirus and vaccines and all this sort of stuff. What we've got to do as a human species, you know, sitting down praying is just not going to get anyone anywhere. We've actually got to start taking action towards building communities, and that means bringing people together to build communities that are completely off the grid. So we step outside of the electric, the gas, the monetary system, and we start to create our own way of being in this world that allows us to be on this green and blue ball that we call home, but outside of the system that is currently controlling us. And we make up our own rules and regulations, you know, and we just start to live by divine law as sovereign beings on this planet. You know, love, compassion, don't kill, don't steal, you know, don't harm anyone, just nurture each other as one big, great, you know, beautiful, happy family that just supports each other in every single pursuit of life. And, you know, we barter, we care, we share. This is what we've got to focus and take action upon, and create a free world and a pathway forward for our children and our children's children and our great grandchildren and so on. You know, it all comes down to love, connection, compassion. It comes down to strength of character, determination, you know, wisdom, knowledge. All of this stuff is inside of you. No one can give it to you. You've got to cultivate it from within and then go and action it. And when we start to do this in groups and tribes, boy, the whole world's going to change really fast.
Yeah, very true. Because it's like a big Pandora unfolding from inside. You know, I want to quote something from one of your books where you've written, man is made or unmade by himself. In the armory of thought, he forges the weapon by which he destroys himself. So true that you've written, you know, and that is what we've done right now because of this pandemic that is there, you know, engulfing the entire world, entire earth, entire planet like this. The only point of acceptance that yes, we are the ones who created this situation for ourselves, and we are the ones who need to take the entire responsibility of whatever is happening right now.
That's the word, responsibility. That's that magical word, man. Like, and not everybody likes to, you know, let's put the responsibility over there, you know, and be like, no, I will take responsibility for my life, and I will take action. I will climb out of this mess myself. You know, if people commit to that, they'll find a way. But whilst you worry and wonder and you're in fear, you're just going to get sucked up into the darkness. So
that's only when responsibility of taking your own actions comes is the non-judgmental state is going to come.
Absolutely.
So I think that's the frequency that we both of us leave onto the entire planet through this session of ours. What do you feel? Let's
100%.
leave
love. I mean, everyone that's watching this, you know, you've got to be a high frequency being to watch it. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been drawn to it. So continually work on your frequency and raise it even higher. Don't be complacent. Don't settle. Keep pushing up the levels, you know, because once you become complacent, you start to slide backwards. So you've always got to keep expanding. Very important.
True, true. I've just loved being every bit of this entire session that we've had a conversation, you know. I've been looking forward to this conversation since we actually spoke. And wonderful is not the word. It's like love. There's a lot of love and a lot of pink energy right now that we both will release to the entire planet before we exit from this platform. So thank you so much, and very grateful that you have given your precious time to DISHAA. And I think I'm not still satisfied, you know, with this conversation. I need to have more chats with you, more gupshups with you. You know, there's so much to talk about.
I know.
This is just so little of that entire thing that we have, you know. So I think let's end this part 1 and get on to the next part soon.
Definitely. I'm all for it. Thank you for having me.
Okay, Jerry. Thank you so much. And lots of love to you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care, sister.
Yeah. Bye-bye.